Hey, what's up, fantasy fans? This is Mitchell with FF Real Talk. And as you can see, my voice is back and I'm finally feeling 100%, ready to rock and roll. Glad to be over this flu and ready to get right into this early edition of the weekly waiver ads, the early bird version for all of y'all to watch. I'm now doing these on Mondays now because this is I used to be off on Tuesday to be able to do it, but now is going to be the best time I could do it. So what that obviously means is it won't include anyone who would be on this list that will be playing today. So, we'll just possibly add it to the notes at the bottom or the description if anybody would pop off from tonight. But from now, it's just based on Sunday or last Thursday's action. So we're going to get right into it. And I think the number one pickup of the week, it's no question who it's going to be because it's similar to last week. It's Karlos Williams. What I'm going to do is give a little anecdote for this one. One of my new friends and Twitter followers, hey Leah, how you doing? She had messaged me about a situation that she was having in her league. She's a brand new player with fantasy, and she was having some running back issues and was considering adding Pierre Thomas, and her waiver wire is almost bone dry, just like a lot of us are. But on her wire was Pierre, Karlos Williams, uh, Charles Sims, and a few of the San Francisco hodgepodge, as well as some of the Washington Redskins running backs that are possibilities. And I had advised her to pick up either Sims or Williams. But in the end, I told her to go with Williams because it becomes a situation that's just like D'Angelo Williams the prior week. If something were to happen to LaShawn McCoy, Karlos Williams becomes an automatic number one that has shown the ability to carry the mantle as a number one in the weeks he's played. So just grab him just in case. And sure enough, this week, LaShawn McCoy gets hurt. And though it's going to be something that looks like he might play through, Karlos Williams took the mantle and went nuts with it. Short of D'Angelo Williams, was the best running back of the week. So it becomes an easy situation. He got dropped down to, I think, somewhere along 40%. He needs to be owned 100% in all leagues going forward. And this is a lesson for me as a whole. I'm going to just speak for myself. I've been a known proponent of not handcuffing, no matter who it is, for the most part when I draft. But this year has taught me something, but it's only in a few instances. There are very few running backs that have the ability as the clear backup to take the number one mantle. D'Angelo Williams, Karlos Williams being a few exceptions. I think I'd throw Tevin Coleman in it too in the little he's shown. But with what these running backs have done this year, every first round running back we picked this year, with the exception of Adrian Peterson, has hurt us in some way. Every single one of them. And because of that, if you've got a clear backup like those two, you got to invest in early/mid rounds. I know one thing. I don't care if Le'Veon Bell is 100% ready to go in training camp next year. If I drafted him, I'm drafting D'Angelo Williams in the third or fourth round, coming right behind him because he's proven to be injury prone. And we know Shady is. So, again, this week's is easy. He's going to be 100% owned, and another Christmas gift, just like D'Angelo Williams proved to be this week. So grab Karlos Williams if you can, and you have an early waiver claim. Number two, James Starks. Eddie Lacy is starting to befuddle us all. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm more inclined to believe it's more of an injury thing than anything else. But either way, it's extremely puzzling. Regardless, he's still 100% owned, i.e. James Stark should be 100% owned. On the contrary, this is not an example like Karlos Williams or D'Angelo Williams because this guy has had his shots in Green Bay and he hasn't done much with it to show that he could be a number one. Be that as it may, he has some ability and he's shown that he has some ability in the pass game. In this week, he had 6 for 83 and a touchdown on 8 targets as a pass catcher. So All Eddie Lacy owners need to own James Starks, straight up and down. That's all. That's one thing I will say. And anybody who doesn't own them can put in a claim if you're not able to get Williams. That's my suggestion. Number 3, Tony Romo. No analysis here. It's just a few facts. He's scheduled back for week 11. Dez is apparently close to 100%. He's 42% owned, and many of you have a quarterback that Romo would be an upgrade over. Just do the math. He needs to be picked up because for all the people that cut him and all the people that are not thinking ahead, get Tony Romo. He might save your playoff run or propel you into it. Number 4, Davante Adams. I've been watching this situation closely, and what it seems like more or less is he's finally rounding out into game shape. He came back last week, but that was after being out for 4 weeks and the bye, and I knew in the first week back you just got to get your legs under you. But after a second game, he shows that he has it. A lot of what we were expecting at the start of the season, where he went 7 catches for 93 yards with 11 targets. And the beauty about this is this helps Randall Cobb. This also helps Eddie Lacy or / James Starks, whoever's going to be running the ball. Now's his chance to get going. And for all the people that cut him, because he's around, I want to say he's just less than 60% owned, he will be a little treat to grab off the wire, because if y'all remember, he was going as an easy number 2 wide receiver. Now's his chance to show if he indeed has it. So grab him as well. Brandon LaFell, similar to Davante Adams. He went 5 for 102 yesterday rather. And it's just like I said last week when I said about adding him. The talent is there. It's clear, and there's no question about it. And it was just a matter of time before he caught on because of this offense. But with Dion Lewis gone for the year with the ACL, it's even more targets to go around in the New England offense. And I believe all of them are going to benefit from it, including LaFell. So he becomes, and being that he's less than 60% owned, he becomes an immediate grab. And this is the kind of guy, like a lot of these I mentioned before, that can flesh out a playoff potential team in fantasy. So definitely pick up Brandon LaFell this week too. Number 6. Derek Carr, also another player under the 60% ownership threshold. His numbers can no longer be ignored. He's had 20 or more fantasy points in all but 3 games this year. For all Big Ben owners who we don't know with this foot injury, if it's going to be a couple of weeks or how long it's going to be. For all the people who aren't able to get Romo or anything else, or even if you don't necessarily trust what Romo is going to be when he comes back based on the injury, Derek Carr is proven to be the real deal. There's a lot of quarterbacks we own that Carr is an upgrade from. So definitely keep him in mind going forward as well. Number 7, Dorial Green-Beckham. Finally, we're seeing some of the hype of this prototype coming to life. And as I said last week, he's going to be expected to pretty much step in as long as Kendall Wright is out. And by default, he's going to be doing that. And he was targeted 10 times yesterday. And a lot of that, though, is the function of Mariota being healthy. And if Mariota stays on the field and makes clean passes besides some of that lucky stuff that happened yesterday, DGB has a shot at gaining some steam for those in the playoff run. He looks like he showed a little bit of that ability yesterday, and definitely that size and speed. So this is a guy who could be a sleeper coming in towards the end of this regular fantasy season type area. So keep an eye out on him as well. Number 8, same team, Antonio Andrews. He's been on this list a couple of times before, but it seems like he gets added, then cut and whatever, so his percentages isn't going up as much as it should. But this is another Titan that seems to at least somewhat benefit from this coaching change thing. The main thing to focus on is the fact that he got 19 carries, though it was just kind of 88 yards. he had 19 carries, and the only person that offered any resistance was Dexter McCluster because Bishop Sankey didn't get a single snap in the game. Now, you have to keep in mind, David Cobb is slated to come back this week. So he's going to obviously eat into something as they try to see what they have with him, because this is kind of a season where they're just fleshing things out and learning. But right now, even though Andrews is a bit slow, even though he's not quick, although he tries to be patient along the line, he's just not good enough to be that. He tries to be like Le'Veon Bell and strafe the line to try to look for a hole. He's too slow for that. And even though Cobb will carve into some of it, his role seems to be solidified, and they've basically named him the bell cow. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But he definitely is somebody to have more than a lot of these running backs we have out here. Number 9, same team again, Mariota. Again, the climate of coaching is making a difference. The fact that he's healthy also made a difference. He had a fantastic fantasy day and was tied for the best score among quarterbacks, along with Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton. But I watched the entire bit. I watched every bit of that game yesterday, and a good many bits of his success was luck. He had some passes that ricocheted off defenders, and if it wasn't for Delanie Walker's ball skills, man, it would have been a mess for a lot of what was going on. But be that as it may, he's got all the talent in the world, and he's going to go through some of these growing pains. And if the running game fleshes out to give him some leeway, it's only going to get better. And the running game looked pretty good yesterday. With the addition to Cobb, if he turns out to be something, this could be something that makes the team kind of have some momentum going forward before the end of the season. They get to see what they're like. So, and again, this is all about fantasy at this point. Just look at the quarterbacks you have. You know who you have at this point. I wouldn't be completely opposed to someone having Mariota over Ryan Tannehill. So for all these players that are majority owned, keep some of these guys in mind. Just look at the matchups before you do it. And number 10 is Charles Sims. This is just another example, but it's more of a bottom of the barrel example of like a James Starks type of player who's the clear backup but doesn't have the talent to be number one, sort of like Karlos Williams or D'Angelo Williams. But being that he's just at around 50% owned, he's somebody that's at least worth owning because he does get work, especially in the pass catching. But more than anything, I'd rather have him over some of these people that a lot of guys are going to be trying to reach for this week, like Brandon Bolden and James White. I'd rather have him over anybody in the Washington committee or anybody in this San Francisco mess committee. So it's all about trying to have somebody who will get something out of there. And Charles Sims gets something in most games. And with Doug Martin, sometimes he's a plateau type player where he plays good, he'll level off, drop down, then rise up or whatever. Charles Sims always has that chance to make a good game, but you just never know where it comes from. But better than a lot of what you can have out there. So if you're at the bottom of the barrel and you're trying to get something for some production, Charles Sims become an ad that you might want to target. And just a few honorable mentions to round out this list. Sean Drone, he was top 15 in carries this week, 16 carries for 58 plus 4 catches for 38. That's not bad. Keep an eye out on him. Kamar Aiken, he's coming off a bye, so whenever that happens, there's a lot of people that's not thinking about the player because they don't have active stats that happened in the prior week. So, and again, I said it last week when I said adding him, he's not somebody I trust, but again, he's going to get a lot of work because of the loss of Steve Smith Sr. So keep an eye on him as well. Kenny Stills, 2 straight weeks with 50 plus yards or 50 or more yards and 12 targets in the past 2 weeks. this Dolphins thing isn't a clear cut situation, and it's spread around a lot. And Ryan Tannehill, like I say, he's just whatever. But again, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for players in deep leagues. This is somebody you might want to target. And this one is a slash situation. Brandon Bolden / James White. Not sure who's gonna pop from these two, but this is one thing that I do know. Brandon Bolden hasn't assumed the mantle thus far, and James White has shown flashes of something sometimes when he gets on the field. So of the two, I think I would take White based on upside alone. But without Dion Lewis's defined and clear talent that came in immediately, this goes back to the Patriots of old, that Patriots team where you don't trust anyone in the running game besides, like, at this point, LeGarrette Blount. So if you're desperate, grab one of those two, and I think I'd target James White first. So, but yeah, that's the end of this week's video, and I appreciate all you guys that listen. And what you need to do is, for a lot of people that's asking about, to ask me questions here or whatever, follow me on Twitter, because it's gonna be the easier way that I'm responding to you. Again, I say that in pretty much every video. I haven't said it much in the last few, but follow me on Twitter. It's gonna make things a lot easier. And if you like these videos, thumbs me up, or whatever you want to call it, like it or whatever have you, because I don't get paid for this. So I want to know that you guys are enjoying this, or that you're getting something out of it. So until next week, good luck with you this week, and I hope everything works out. Y'all have a good one.